sweet. Thank you so very much. Do it. I know it's the summer and people want to spend time in the sun. So
I just caught the bug because I'm definitely a movie buff, so I love, movies.
how that shapes, the decisions that we make.
Definitely dramatic drama.
Drama, my favorite.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
That's right. What? I was like,
Voila.
oh, nice.
Oh, I dig that.
It's free.
I never spend my free time. If it's free, I keep it.
You might get more no's than yeses.
No.
Biggest thing is relationships.
Stop flaunting your healthy, non-abusive, wonderful relationship.
There's a little chair right there.
You can go sit right there.
Right.
I felt bad, but like, no.
Ow, and spray with Lysol. I had my candlelight spraying people. I was really spraying people.
Whoa, what?
That's
Yeah.
right. Hello, my urbanites. Welcome to the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. Welcome. Listen, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
You are entering the Urban Suite with Dr. Lisa LaCon. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community.
That's good to hear.
Let's talk about mental health.
Yes, listen. Oh my goodness. Do you hear that? My voice. I'm getting my voice back, you guys. Thank God. Yes. Oh my goodness. Listen, tonight in the Urban Suite, we're talking about borderline personality disorder. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about histrionic personality disorders. And I told you, my urbanites, that I'm going to do all of the personality disorders. So tonight, borderline personality disorders, the characteristics, the causes, treatment modalities. How does this personality behavior look? So we're going to get into it right after this. Stay with us.
You are entering the Urban Suite with Dr. Lisa LaCon. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about urban issues. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community with Dr. Lisa LaCon.
All right. So my urbanites, you already know what segment this is, but for those who are new to the Urban Suite, this is our missing person segment. Every time I do a scheduled show, I have to highlight someone missing. Now, this week is very interesting. I'm going to pull this up. Let's see. This week is very interesting because people from Pennsylvania, the state police is on the lookout. I have to put my readers on. Braylene King is missing, 5-year-old Braylene King, 61 pounds, hair is brown, eyes brown, last seen wearing a yellow t-shirt and black red shoes. Aaliyah King, age 4, 47 pounds, brown hair, eyes brown, last seen wearing a long sleeve pink shirt and pink jelly shoes. Last seen with Eden Matthews. Now, Eden Matthews is 22 years old, 5'7", 165 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a black t-shirt and shorts. All right, listen to this. They're from Berks County. Now, this is Wyoming Borough Police Department in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Listen, my urbanites in Pennsylvania, I need you to share this information. Please do. Is searching for Braylene King, the 5-year-old black male, 61 pounds. I read all that. And Aaliyah King, as well as the Kings are with Eden Matthews, 22-year-old black female. I already did her description. Matthews and the Kings are to be in a black 2021 Hyundai Tucson bearing Maryland registration 5ER5844. They were last seen in the area of Delaware Avenue in Wyoming Borough, Berks County on June 8th, 2022 at approximately 11:15 a.m. Police believe the Kings may be at special risk of harm or injury. Anyone with information on the Kings and Eden Matthews are asked to contact police immediately. I want you to take a look at those pictures. Look at Braylene King. Look at Aaliyah King. Look at Eden Matthews. Please, please, please contact the police immediately at 911 or the Wyoming Borough Police Department at area code 610-375-6102, or you can call the Black and Missing Foundation, and that number is 877-97-BAMFI. Again, that's 877-97-BAMFI. Let's bring these people home. Braylene King, Aaliyah King, and Eden Matthews. So listen, we are sponsored by Blessed Ministries Incorporated. The Urban Suite is sponsored by Blessed Ministries Incorporated. We are the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey. And we work with various populations to get them employed, you guys. We work with those under the supervision of parole. We work with adults with disabilities. We work with youth with disabilities, like teens with disabilities. We work with those impacted by opioids in the state of New Jersey, as well as those that are receiving like food stamps and things of that nature. We do put people to work.
You get when you mess with a crazy ass. This is what you get when you mess with a crazy ass. I'm that crazy ass. Don't me. Don't me. That's what you get when you mess with somebody's heart. When you mess with somebody's heart. Look at that stupid ass Xbox. Oh, your Xbox is gone, babes. That is broke. Everything, you have no technology, no anything. So next time you try to, oh, I hate this bitch that's finna come in here. Cause baby, it ain't gonna be no sort of entertainment in here, babes. You better have that bitch clean all shit up. Oh. I didn't got the on my shoe. I'm gonna clean it with his toothbrush. Clean it with his toothbrush.
Man, oh man, borderline personality disorder is something else. All right, so when I did histrionic personality disorder, I went into an in-depth definition about personality disorders. I'm not going to do that tonight. For an in-depth definition, go and look at the histrionic personality disorder video. Tonight, I'm only focused on borderline personality disorder, and this disorder is something else. Did you see that video? Did you see that video? This is a woman who is undone, irrational anger. And oftentimes, this personality disorder, the foundation is that 4-letter word that starts with the letter F. What is that 4-letter word that starts with the letter F?
Fear.
Fear. Yes. That 4-letter word that starts with the letter F. So we're going to dig into it right now about borderline personality disorder. Now, it's so interesting because this disorder, the reason why they call it borderline, because you have this, initially, when this was thought of, in a sense, it was neurosis and psychosis. So you were on the borderline of both. However, they're thinking about changing it to, what are they thinking about changing it to? Oh, emotional intensity disorder. EID. Yes, emotional intensity disorder, because apparently there's a lot of stigma in the name borderline personality disorder. So I'll keep you all abreast. But let me tell you, this is according to DSM-5 as well as the Cleveland Clinic. Anything outside of that, I would say my opinion is my opinion. All right. So let's dig into this personality disorder. If you looked at the video, you saw that a woman had irrational anger. And oftentimes that irrational anger is based on fear of being abandoned, fear of abandonment. This is the type of person that if you say, I'm going to leave you, they get awfully upset. They key your car. They throw a brick through your window. They may stalk you. They may do things that is violent in nature. And these are the type of people, and we're going to get into this, but these are the type of people that use self-harm, manipulative techniques to keep you in the relationship with them. And they may say, you know what? If you leave me, I'm going to harm myself. And oftentimes, again, this is not according to Dr. Lisa. This is according to DSM-5 and the Cleveland Clinic, self-harm in the form of self-mutilation, such as cutting. Man, this is something else. And then also, unstable, intense relationships. The relationships go up and down. And these relationships are not only relegated to household relationships, personal relationships. These relationships extend to the workplace also. Now, this is my opinion. I'm getting ready to say something in my opinion. The term going postal actually stemmed from when postal workers were let go and then they came back and retaliated. And they were very upset because they felt that their job abandoned them. Now, I don't know if they diagnosed any postal workers with borderline personality disorder, but that is a trait. Now, there are 9 traits. However, if you have 5 of these traits, which are persistent from young adulthood up until adulthood, whatever, you may have borderline personality disorder. disorder. So the first one, fear of abandonment. And again, that is the foundation, that fear. I told you all about fear and what the word of God says. For God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. In fear, you always feel like you are defeated. That woman in that video, she felt like she was defeated. To trash someone's apartment like that, to put feces on his toothbrush, and to just run havoc in his life, that's not good, not a good sign. The next one is unstable self-image of yourself. And this is where the self-harm comes in, because this particular person, if you say, I'm going to use the two names, Johnny and Diane, which I always do, I'll say Diane is going to be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, because most women, 75% of the women that are diagnosed, out of the 1.7%, 75% are women that are diagnosed. So the majority are women. So I'm going to use Diane and Johnny. All right. So Diane, she has this personality disorder. Now, Johnny, he sees some red flags. All right. So I'm going to tell you about some things that you can do prior to really being entangled with this person. All right. So with this person, if Johnny says, Diane, this is not working out, Diane will do one of two things. She will look at herself and say, oh my gosh, is it my fault? What did I do? Why are you leaving me? Oh my goodness. Or she will say, if you leave me, I'm going to harm myself. If you leave me, I'm going to harm you. Also, I may harm myself, as well as, again, listen to what I'm getting ready to say. They look at themselves as the victim in this. They look at themselves as being responsible for that person wanting to leave them. And then they go into the sphere of self-harming themselves. The next one is rapid mood changes. Oh my gosh. They go from hot to cold. I love you. I don't love you. I like you. I hate you. I hate myself. It is very taxing to be in a relationship with a person that has this diagnosis, that is not able to develop behavioral learning skills. And I'm going to talk about that a little later. The next one is impulsive and dangerous behaviors, unsafe sex, gambling, drug use, driving fast. Like, they don't really think of consequences. And we talked about this before in the Urban Suite, the difference between responding and reacting. These are people who are very impulsive. These are people who react. They don't think about the consequences of their behaviors in terms of what can happen to them, what could happen to their family, what could happen to the community. In a sense, it's all about them and meeting their needs. Oh my goodness. And then, the next one, like I said, repeated self-harm. Repeated self-harm. Do you all remember the movie Fatal Attraction? That movie, in my opinion, is stereotypical of someone who has borderline personality disorder. She was the mistress. And then when the husband said, I no longer want this relationship, she tried to do everything to keep him in that relationship. What did she do? She ended up cutting her wrist when he came in the house so that you could feel sympathetic toward that person. That is one of the manipulative tactics that this person will do. Self-harm. They will say it over and over and over again. And then, unfortunately, they can be successful when it comes to that. All right. Persistent feelings of emptiness. Like, they feel like they're nobody. They feel like they're nothing. They feel like, oh my gosh, I am nothing because I'm not attached to anyone. I'm not attached to anything. And they have this deep, dark feeling, like I said, feeling of emptiness. It's all in their thoughts, right? And then anger management issues. These are people that snap from 1 to 10 within 5 seconds because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. They haven't been taught how to regulate their emotions. So they just go like, oh my God, like from 1 to 10, they just snap. And then they think that they're passionate about what they're snapping about. And then temporary paranoid thoughts. Listen, this one is very interesting, especially when it comes to relationships. This is the type of person, say for instance, Johnny gets a phone call and Diane is in his presence. Johnny is talking and Diane may say, well, who are you talking to? Is that another girl? Who is that? Johnny may say, no, it's my mother. And then Diane may say, oh, okay. She's thinking in her mind that Johnny is planning a route of escape away from her. Man, oh my goodness, this disorder is something to be reckoned with. Now, there are 4 types, 4 groups. You have the petulant, you have the discouraged, impulsive, and self-destructive. So everything that I just said fit into one of those 4 categories. This is something. The petulant, unpredictable behavior. You don't know who or what you're waking up to because of those paranoid thoughts. And then the discouraged, they look at themselves and they always think, am I the blame for Johnny leaving? Am I the cause of Johnny leaving? I must not be good enough for Johnny. I must not be good enough for this person. And then they're impulsive. Oh my goodness, risky behaviors, unsafe sex. That's one of the things, drug use. Oh my goodness. And then the final one, self-destructive behaviors such as self-harm. Let me give you a key. This is really important. Really important. When you meet someone, now you can't go around diagnosing people. You just can't go around diagnosing. However, this is a key or what I call a red flag when you meet someone who may have this disorder and they may have never been diagnosed. So Johnny and Diane, they go out on a date. Okay. So this is only their second date. Diane is going to disclose all this information about her past, all this information about her shortfalls, her shortcomings. She's going to reveal stuff on a second date that you normally don't reveal on a second date because you're really trying to get to know that person. She's going to reveal all of her childhood trauma issues. She's going to make you feel sorry for her. Now, why do you think Diane would do that on the second date? Diane will do that on the second date to reel you in so that you can become immediately attached. And once you are attached, man, it's hard to get disconnected with that particular person. They use, what that saying is, their heartstrings, pulling your heartstrings for the innocent victim. So you can get sucked in to their toxic world. And then when you see more red flags, such as, who are you talking to? I saw you looking at that girl. I saw you smiling at him. I saw you smiling at her. I saw the voice and whatever that you use. You're always flirting. You're like, no, I'm not. Are you thinking about leaving me? Am I no good for you? Oh my gosh, how can I look better? How can I be better for you? That's a red flag that you are entering into a dangerous zone with this particular person. Oh my goodness. Now we have signs in a romantic relationship. Oh, fear of abandonment. Again, they do not want to be left alone. And that's based on childhood issues. All right. Because some of the causes are genetic. That's number one. Genetic basically means, okay, it's transferred from parent to child in utero. Research is still out on that. The second one is environmental. And this is what I really want to talk about. And then the third one is an impaired brain function. All right. So we know that basically there's an impairment with your organ, your brain organ, that will have you behave a certain way. But the one thing that I really want to talk about, environmental factor, environmental issues. Typically, it starts in childhood when that child believes that they have been betrayed, and abandoned by a loving figure, whether it's a parent, whether it's a grandparent, something. And then that betrayal and that abandonment, those issues grow and grow and grow and persist. And you haven't developed the skills needed when you believe someone needs to leave you, rather than say, okay, this person is no longer interested in me. I've been dumped. I know you all have been dumped too, my urbanites. But guess what? I didn't go scratching anybody's car. I didn't go putting a brick through a window. I didn't go trashing an apartment. That's very irrational. That's irrational anger. And you know, our personality is shaped by three things: our thoughts, right? What we think, that shapes our personality, our attitudes, and our actions, our behaviors. Our thoughts, our attitudes, and our actions or behaviors, that shapes our personality. So if you go out trashing your ex's apartment, if you go out trashing, or even cyberbullying them, stalking them, vandalizing their property, you have to think within yourself, is this normal behavior? That is not normal behavior. That's why it's called a disorder. You're out of order. You're out of order. So,
Dr. Lisa,
yes.
just for some people that have just joined us, do you think we might want to just remind them of what a borderline personality disorder looks like in a relationship again with the
Sure.
girlfriend video?
Sure. Let me put my readers on. All right. So, it's an extreme fear of being left by your partner. Extreme fear. You're always watching for signs someone will leave you. That's the paranoid thought. Oh my gosh, who are they talking to? They're talking to this person at the counter, this woman at the counter. Are they trying to have a plan to leave me? Impulsive sexuality. Again, unsafe sexual practices. Oh my goodness. And then frantic efforts to avoid abandonment. Frantic efforts to avoid abandonment. You start to lie. You start to say, oh my gosh, how can I manipulate this situation so that this person won't leave me? I'm going to kill myself. That's what they say. And you may not even be thinking about it at all, but that's how they operate. And then they have a back and forth attention, and then they isolate. But one of the things that's very dangerous about this disorder is, how do you get out? If you are Johnny, how do you get out? That man whose apartment was trashed, how does he get out of that?
Can we show him the apartment again? And you tell us like what parts of what she was doing exhibited the borderline personality disorder.
Absolutely. Yes. Play it again.
What you get when you mess with a crazy ass. This is what you get when you mess with a crazy ass. I'm that crazy ass. Don't me. Don't me. That's what you get when you mess with somebody's heart. When you mess with somebody's heart. Look at that stupid ass Xbox. Oh, your Xbox is gone, babes. That is broke. Everything, you have no technology, no anything. So next time you try to, oh, I hate that bitch that's finna come in here. Cause baby, it ain't gonna be no sort of entertainment in here, babes. You better have that bitch clean all shit up. Oh, babes. I didn't got the on my shoe. I'm gonna clean it with this toothbrush. Clean it with this toothbrush.
She said something very key. This is what you get when you mess with someone's heart. And then she used the word crazy. So she sort of knows what she's doing is out of the norm, but she can't help herself because she cannot regulate her emotions at this point. She has no behavioral skill, coping mechanisms to regulate her emotions. So she's going all out. She's totally reacting, and she's not thinking about the consequences at all. She's not thinking that, okay, you know what? This person can press charges against me because I vandalized his apartment. I destroyed his object. I mean,
on camera.
On camera. She did it on camera. So it's sort of like she's not thinking in her right mind at all. And that is a characteristic of fear. Fear, you do not think in your right mind. Because again, the word of God says fear. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. When you operate in fear, you do not have a sound mind. It's perverted, just like what she did. That's perversion. Using his toothbrush to wipe off dog poop on the bottom of a shoe.
Yeah.
That's perverted.
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
But
cheer it on in the
that's what I was about to get to.
Community.
Right.
People cheer that behavior. That is not normal
the
behavior.
Environmental.
Cheered on at all.
But people do kind of like expect that she it's normalized to her. Like she feel like that's how people are supposed to react. So
that's the environmental factor because
exactly.
Oftentimes, say for instance, if she has a child, and I'm sure this is not the first time she's done that. If she's had a child and her child has seen her engaging in this behavior, her child, because she's a role model, her child may assume that this is normal.
Right.
And it's really sad. And these are things that we really need to discuss in the urban community, that these behavioral traits, it is not normal, it is not healthy, it is not good. And as a matter of fact, it's very toxic. And for people to be cheering her on, I have to question those cheering her on.
That's what they grew up around. Like that's the drama that they're used to seeing, and that's how people are supposed to act as far as they have seen.
Yes.
So the environmental factor is probably the most important factor beyond the genetics and the brain impairment. But what are some of the treatments that a person would have to go through in order to deal with a personality disorder like this?
Well, similar to histrionic personality disorder, there's no medication because it is a personality disorder. So it's not like you can take a pill and your personality can change. You can take a pill and you have a flat affect, meaning that you'll be like this. So in a sense, it will shape your personality. However, that's not the goal. The goal is to change your behavior because you have to change your mind. Do you realize that oftentimes our behavior is predicated on our mindset? So it is almost very challenging to change our behaviors without changing our mind. So Oftentimes, psychotherapy, group talk, cognitive behavioral therapy, even dialectical behavioral therapy. Now, dialectical behavioral therapy falls under the guise of cognitive behavioral therapy, but one of the foundations of dialectical behavioral therapy is mindfulness, being in the here and now and understanding, okay, what am I doing? So it would look like this. So, say for instance, Johnny says, Diane, I'm going to break up with you. So, of course, Diane can cry or whatever. But if Diane is in therapy, Diane will think, okay, what is a rational response to this? And what is normal? Is destroying property normal? Because I really want to do it. But if I destroy property, there's a possibility that he could press charges. If he presses charges, there's a possibility that I can go to jail. Since I'm a single mother, if I go to jail, who's going to watch my children? Like that's what happens when you see a therapist. They will help you process these things. They will help you understand behavioral skills, help you understand the difference between responding and reacting to a situation. Again, oftentimes in the urban community, we do not have the skills. In the urban community, we do not have the, what can I say? And how can I say? We have been very shy to seek therapeutic assistance. And what we have done is self-medicate. We self-medicate through liquor. We self-medicate through unsafe sex. We self-medicate through these things. And as a result of that, this behavior can be very pervasive in the urban community. And Felicia Jackson says nowadays there are rage rooms for people who can't control their emotions, as well as boxing, like the punching bags and things of that nature. Yeah, you need to do that rather than trash someone's apartment and then go to jail. And then also with DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, you have individual treatment. You also have group treatment, and then you have phone coaching, because they know that because you're impulsive in a sense, it's sort of like if you are in AA and you have a sponsor, that sponsor is available 24 hours a day on call. When you feel like picking up a drink, when you feel like walking into that bar, when you feel like taking that hit, you call that person, that accountability person, to help you off the ledge. Man, I'm telling you, now, to get out of a relationship like this, it's going to be very challenging. It really is. Oftentimes you go through destructive behavioral things such as the video to get out of the relationship. That person, I would assume, is a man. I'll just assume is a man. He's going to have to change his locks. He may have to relocate. He may have to be on social media. He may have to get off of social media. He may have to become a ghost.
So that's after he presses charges, though, right?
That's after he presses charges. He may have to become a ghost so that that person will not end up stalking him. I'm telling you, like I said, red flags at the beginning, when they try to suck you in real quick to give you this sob story about their childhood, a sob story about what's happening now, so that you can feel so sympathetic toward them. And once you feel sympathetic toward them, they play with your emotions because they're very manipulative. They reel you in so that you can become attached to them, so that you will never leave them, nor would you want to leave them. But then when you start to engage in these impulsive behaviors, that's when the red flags start to come up, and the person may be like, you know what, this is not what I bargained for. Interesting. I didn't bargain for this. I think I want out. This is the type of person. This happened with a cop his wife and the wife's lover.
Mm.
He shot, I believe, the lover, he shot the wife, and then he shot himself. Because this person says, if I can't have you, no one else will. This is a very dangerous. That's why it's important to seek help. If you, and you have to be honest with yourself, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to look in the mirror and say, okay, I want to destroy X, Y, and Z because this person is leaving me. I want to destroy his life. I want to destroy his possessions. I want to destroy everything about it. You have to take a look at that and say, oh my goodness, I have a trait. Again, you have to have at least five of those out of those 9 traits in order to be considered a person having this disorder. This disorder is very, very, very toxic. This is my opinion. I believe that it's underdiagnosed, and especially in the urban community. Now, I've seen growing up, I've seen people that operate like this, but I chalked it up to them being very passionate. You know, we use these words in the urban community. Oh, she's just very passionate. They know what they want. That person deserved it. No, the person that actually implements that behavior may have borderline personality disorder, along with any of the other 9. But again, they need to have at least 5 of those 9 traits. Man, Curtis, this disorder is something else. Very scary.
You're right.
Very scary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do want to end on in this segment on a little bit of positive note, but when we come back, can we talk about how we deal with this type of thing at BMI, and how maybe in the workplace people deal with mental disorders and how to get on with their lives a little bit and dealing with some of these types of conditions. And then you could also tell us what's coming up for next week.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
But the biggest thing is always keep doing your homework. Don't get comfortable, because there's always new ways to do something. And that's the best way to learn, is to keep, informing and teaching yourself, and be professional at all times. And just, don't give up.
Don't give up. That's just like that clip at the beginning. Don't give up. That is key. Don't give up.
Do not give up.
Don't give up. If you know your purpose in life,
you should never give up.
You keep pushing that plow. Keep putting your hand and pushing that plow.
We're not going to give up.
It's not going to come just by osmosis, in a sense.
We must not give up.
Or just by you saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Never give up.
Ніколи не здавайся. Ніколи не здавайся.
You have to work hard at it. And you can do it.
I won't give up. I know we can do this together.
All right, so we are back. We are back. So this particular person, say for instance, Diane. Diane is more than just in a personal relationship. Diane is perhaps an employee. So one of the key things to assist someone with this personality is the Dianes of life. You have to find your passion point. You have to find your passion point and try to be as creative as you possibly can in the workspace, because it's very, very important. Very important. So, how to have a successful career? Like I said, consider a creative career path. That's very important. And oftentimes you may need to work with a coach, work with a therapist to find that out. And you have to build your self-knowledge. If you understand who you are, because you have to remember, it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. You have to each day look in the mirror and say, good morning, gorgeous. I am gorgeous. I am worthy. You have to do this. And then find a supportive and flexible environment. So say, for instance, even with the pandemic, it was very flexible because you have the opportunity to work from home. You have the opportunity to go and work in the workplace. But you have to decide what is flexible for you in a working environment. Absolutely. And then try to avoid stressful situations. Listen, in life, we have stress. But this is why you need to seek a therapist to help you deal with those stressors in a positive way. And that's why DBT is positive, because it helps you transform those negative thoughts into positive outcomes. And that's the bottom line. You want positive outcomes. And then again, you have to continue with your mental health care provider. It's very important for you to tap into that person, to let that person know what you're doing, so that you have homework to build up those skills. You have homework to do, because you have to, as the Bible says, you have to renew your mind. If you do not renew your mind, you're going to be hard pressed, and you're going to always fall into that toxic trap. Now, at Blessed Ministries Incorporated, what we do is we work with you to help you identify your passion point when it comes to employment, because our tagline is wellness and recovery through work. Now, if you do have stressors on the job, we are here to help you. We are here to help advocate for you. We are here to help you de-escalate. We are here to do these things so that you can be successful. You can be successful in your home. You can be successful at work. Because guess what? If you don't work, you don't have money, and you end up poor, all because of your thoughts. Think about that. Isn't that something, Curtis?
If you don't work, you don't eat.
That's right. That's what God says. If you don't work, you don't eat. Unless
a lot of
somebody over the head and robbing and stealing from
you. We don't want to, we don't want to bring that into anybody's mind. But a lot of these things, I think some of those points that you brought up could help a lot of people. And I think that the mental health aspect is teaching the person one word that I don't know if you said it specifically, but self-control. You talked about it, that everything that you're talking about is teaching a person self-control, like
regulating your emotions, right, bringing your emotions under control. Because
think about the consequences.
Think about the consequences. Don't react, respond. You have to think. You have to think. And I did a great in-depth teaching maybe a year ago. I may have to bring that up after I finish the personality disorders, to really talk about the ABCs of life, the antecedent, the behaviors, and the consequence. The antecedent is what happened before you engage in a behavior. There you go, the antecedent behavior consequences. And then the behavior. Based on your behavior, you're going to experience some consequences. The consequences could be positive outcomes, or they could be negative outcomes. But the ABCs of life can determine where you're going to end up. People with this personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, they have to realize and understand that it's their thought life. Because think about it. You actually think, and this ties into the bear effect, to be perfectly honest, you actually think that you aren't anybody unless Johnny is by your side. That is very flawed thinking, because last I looked, Johnny may not have been in your life for 10, 20, 30 years, and you function normally without Johnny. So now all of a sudden you can't function without Johnny.
Why you think why you say that ties into the bear effect though?
Because it's your beliefs expected as reality. That goes with the paranoid ideations. You're believing certain things to heighten your anxiety. And it goes with, say, for instance, the environmental, the historical data.
The witness data that you've been seeing other people act a certain way your whole life. So you think that this is what they're going to do to you, or he cheated, so then now he's going to do the same thing to me. I saw him talking to that, or texting somebody, or I seen him in front of the building talking too long.
Yes.
So he's going to do what my such and such did to my mother, or whatever, you know.
Exactly. That's the
childhood trauma, you know.
Yep. And it all stems from your beliefs expected as reality. That's why it's important to renew your mind. Once you seek a therapist to help you renew your mind, those negative thoughts to positive outcome, then you got it. But it takes a lot of work, especially if you have been having this personality, grew up with this personality for a very long time. It does not happen overnight at all. So yeah.
So what's coming up for next week? What personality disorder are you going to talk about next week?
Antisocial personality disorder, which is somewhat the total opposite, but it's still based on that 4-letter word that begins with the letter F.
Fear.
I'm telling you, fear is a mother sucker.
I
That fear, man.
I should have had the Samuel Jackson picture. Fear is a mother sucker, boy.
I'm telling you, fear is something else. So yeah, so next week, antisocial personality disorder in the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. Curtis, we have anything else up?
Actually, I think that's it. And you can there is one last thing.
What?
Do we know what today is? Actually, you can look out your window and you can tell what today is.
The longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the first day of summer. Yes.
Right. You got to ring the bell for that one.
Yes, the summer is here. Yes. June 21st, the first day of summer, the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere is upon us right now. Let's see, how does it look out my window? Oh, it's still light.
It's still light outside. When we were doing the show before, it was dark by this time. By the time we get
nice.
here.
So thank God you all are with us, my Urbanites. I thank you for entering into the Urban Suite. Hopefully you learned something, because in the Urban Suite, this is where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. Until next week, Molly, take us away.